I am not a Japanese student. However, I did teach Japanese students all of last year, and I was very fortunate that my coworkers at school heavily encouraged me to speak with students about their interests in English so that they could practice their English with something that they like. I taught at several elementary schools and one junior high school, and I would often have cleaning time with them where I had some time to speak with them, and I would often be encouraged to eat lunch with the students so that I could talk with them in English and they could practice. And most of the time we were talking about their interests, and a lot of their interests included music, sports, but anime and manga was the big one, and a topic that they really got excited to talk about, specifically in English. Now I'll go ahead and get some of these particular shows out of the way because a lot of Japanese people tend to like stuff like Doraemon, Pokemon, Detective Conan, One Piece. These are series that like a lot of Japanese people tend to like, so I'll put those to the side for now. I was very surprised of what kind of shows elementary students enjoyed. So starting last year, My Hero Academia was really big for junior high and elementary school students. Elementary school students are allowed to like wear whatever they want to school. They don't have to wear the uniforms until they go into junior high for most places. So a lot of them loved sporting their My Hero Academia t-shirts, My Hero Academia pencil cases, book bags. They just, everything was My Hero Academia. That seemed to be super popular until Kimetsu no Yaiba came out. Kimetsu no Yaiba just exploded in my classrooms. I had elementary students like drawing on their English papers Nezuko, and like if they had a worksheet that said, oh, I like blah blah blah, it was always I like Kimetsu no Yaiba, I like Nezuko. It was huge, and it's almost as if everyone's pencil cases and keychains and pens and pencils like went from My Hero Academia to Kimetsu no Yaiba. Everyone in my 6th grade class knew of Kimetsu no Yaiba. It was a constant talk, like outside of class or during cleaning time or during lunch. That is what the students wanted to talk about. It was huge with elementary school students. A few other series that I was surprised that elementary school students like was Yakusoku no Neverland. That seemed to be a fairly big one, and I'm actually kind of surprised because that show seems to be kind of violent, but I want to say that Japanese parents aren't as concerned as like American parents with like the violence that these kids watch, because a lot of them are into Attack on Titan, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Yakusoku no Neverland, and stuff like that. So I was kind of surprised because I feel like in the US, especially when I was a kid, like you didn't really want to be as loud about the violent anime that you watch, especially when there's like teachers around. But yeah, these kids were totally open about all sorts of violent anime that they were watching. As far as last year, not including anime like Doraemon, One Piece, and Detective Conan, I would say that the top 3 anime for elementary school students, at least my students, were My Hero Academia, Yakusoku no Neverland, and Kimetsu no Yaiba, especially at the end when it really exploded in popularity. Before Kimetsu no Yaiba, like yes, My Hero Academia was the biggest one, but if I had to replace Kimetsu no Yaiba, I think I would replace it with Attack on Titan. That's really popular with elementary school kids here. So with middle schoolers, I got a lot more time to talk to them because their English level was like ever so slightly higher, and the teachers always encouraged me to talk to them during their downtime, talk to them while they were eating lunch, and most of the students were like super excited to talk about their interest in English. I think I got really lucky with my particular middle school, just like a very, very small countryside middle school. I've heard like horror stories from other English teachers where their students like don't want to talk, or if they do talk, it's just like really rude. I got so lucky that like my students were so good. I also got lucky because the main English teacher at the middle school that I worked with, I think he was also somewhat closet anime manga fan because he often brought up Dragon Ball Z specifically in his lessons. So I always wanted to be really careful about like what topics I would bring up while speaking English to the kids, and it started out a lot about they're into baseball and soccer are really big ones. A lot of the girls are into K-pop, so we would talk about that. But my teacher that I worked with just gave me the green light to really dive into their interests because it's what the kids would use to be able to talk English. And the teacher that I worked with was very much like, I don't care what they talk about, as long as they're speaking English and they're having fun and enjoying it, you can just like run with it when it comes to anime and manga. So that was really cool. So middle schoolers had, I think, some different tastes than the elementary kid students when it came to anime and manga. The first series that I remember being fairly popular was Sword Art Online. A lot of the kids would read the Sword Art Online light novels, pencil cases and keychains of Sword Art Online. That seemed to be a really popular one. Now, I don't know if this particular series that I'm about to say was popular because it's just generally popular, or if it was popular because I taught in Miyagi Prefecture where this anime takes place, but that is Haikyuu. Haikyuu is very popular with all the volleyball students, and I think it's additionally popular where I was teaching at because it was in Miyagi Prefecture, and that is where Haikyuu takes place. So no surprise that that one was really popular. A lot of the girls liked talking about Kageyama and Hinata and how Haikyuu has helped them play volleyball in real life better. So we talked a lot about Haikyuu. One series that I was surprised to hear that was fairly popular, at least with a few students, was K-On! And this was surprising because K-On! I believe aired back in 2009, so it's like, to them, it's fairly old. But apparently they just were able to relate a lot to it. In fact, one day my student gave me a gift because he asked me one day, hey, do you like K-On! And in English, and I was like, yes, I love K-On! And he's like, oh, do you like Azunyan, who's a character from the show? And I'm like, yes, I love Azunyan. And so he gave me a little gift, a little tiny Azunyan figure in a Christmas outfit. So this is just, they're the sweetest kids, let me tell you. They were just so nice and so sweet and so, honestly, like, surprisingly passionate about talking in English. Also, with a lot of the middle schoolers, a lot of the shows that they knew of actually came from their parents. I think one day the subject of Neon Genesis Evangelion came up, which is just very popular in Japan, almost a household name. Teachers, everyone knows about Neon Genesis Evangelion in Japan. And the students weren't like super into it, but they would always say, oh yeah, my parents are super into that. Same with JoJo stuff. I know that a few students had specifically said that they were into JoJo because their parents got them into it. I also remember there were a few students who were into Excel World, and they kept telling me, oh, you should totally watch Excel World, and I was not into it at all, let me tell you. But that seemed to be pretty big, and a lot of like isekai stuff was pretty popular too. ReZero always would spark conversation, and Konosuba was also one that would also spark conversation. Just any of the newer isekai stuff that was pretty popular, these kids tended to be into. I think if I were to narrow it down to 3 series that were most popular for middle school students, it would probably be Sword Art Online, ReZero, and a third one. I would probably say My Hero Academia as well, because that was also very popular with middle school students. So those would be the 3 that I would say were the most popular. But yeah, that was my experience with my students specifically. We always had a really good time talking about things like that, and I think in a way talking about their interests also kind of like built respect, because I always hear other horror stories about like students not having a lot of respect for the foreign English teacher, but I think when you really are interested in them and interested in what they like, they build up more respect for you, so that when it did come time to be serious and like study for tests and doing book lessons and stuff, I personally think that they were more attentive. Plus it also helped to have coworkers and other teachers who approved of us talking about their interests, because it did end up helping them. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe for more Japan and anime videos. Hope to see you guys again, and I will play with you some other time. Bye!